Welcome back to another episode of Boyz Love Kingdom Legendary War. This week we are recapping episode 3 of the 2021 Mnet Survival Show?
Exhibition.
Our performance art piece.
Performance art piece.
That is an Mnet show.
Yeah.
I, as always, am Adam.
And I, as always and forever, will be RJ.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, I think we can just
go right into it. There's nothing to preamble about this week.
No, and maybe last week I
preambled a little too
long.
Yeah.
Maybe I could have just, but sometimes I feel like also too, like I'm just talking to you about stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was just, it wasn't like I was like, I'm trying to like share all this with the viewers, but also like I was.
It's just like processing. It's processing. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Anyway.
It's a very millennial habit to process on a podcast.
This is all we have left.
This is all we have left.
This is all we have left.
We lost Zanga. We lost.
We lost TikTok. We got her back.
But now we don't want her.
Now I don't want her.
So
I mean, it's all the internet is so bad.
Except for this
little corner that I can curate into what I want it to be.
My own little corner in my own little chair. I can be whatever I want to be. I'm doing the Leslie Ann.
Oh, you're doing Leslie Ann? I was doing Brandy, which is interesting because usually I would swap.
Yeah.
On the wing of my fancy.
That's
my Julie Andrews. Okay, well, this was not what you signed up for. Okay.
They want men.
So last week we watched Icon, we watched The Boyz, and we watched
btob.
btob.
Born to Beat.
So this week we have Stray Kids, ATEEZ, and SF9 in that order. Now we remember that Stray Kids were the ones that got to pick the order of the performances.
Correct.
Do you think it was strategic to place themselves fourth?
I think so. I think there's also a level of show planning. I do think there's something like, let's give ourselves in the middle so that way, like, because if it's just that board, it feels like they probably know that it's just going to be one sitting. Like, they're treating it like if it was like a production, like a live event, right? With people there.
Yeah.
You need something to kind of kick people into gear halfway through the show.
Yeah.
So that's why I bet they picked that to be safe. It feels like to me, rather than like going first and going all out or going last and like lead everything up to it, because they might mess up. I mean, like they had hardships during the introduction thing.
Yeah, they should have. If I were them, I would have chosen
to go last.
Because I feel like it could have felt like a culmination.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. But I think going forth is fine.
But they picked that order that was the first thing they had to do.
Yeah.
Technically, I mean, we don't know how much they're putting on for the show, right? But like they picked the order before they knew what they were gonna do. Officially.
Yeah. And they definitely didn't know what any of the other groups were going to do.
Yeah.
So Stray Kids goes forth. They have
Children of the Stray, honey.
Children of a Lesser Stray. That's a good movie. Children of a Lesser God.
You've seen it?
Yes, honey. And in their board meeting, okay,
so
in the JYP
Associates.
Building,
yeah.
JYP.
It does feel like JYP and Associates.
J, Y, P and Associates.
Yeah. It does.
And Noble Booksellers.
Yeah. It does feel, it was interesting to be like, let's bring our team in. It just felt so corporate that I got a chuckle out of it. Because it's Stray Kids. Like, they're not, their vibe is not corporate.
Right.
But they were like, hey guys, I'm going to be Lena was like taking agenda notes, you know.
Minutes.
Yeah,
for
minutes.
Sure. Yeah, it was interesting. Well, because too, like, anyone who knows K-pop knows like the big 3/4, depending on how annoying you want to be about that definition. But obviously, like iKON is YG, and they are JYP. So those are the two representatives of the big
three
of the bigs.
The bigs.
Okay? So, but like YG, like iKON, it did not feel like it was.
They had it felt like their story.
They also had a meeting. Everybody had a meeting.
Everyone's had a meeting, but their meeting was more because they were like really leaning into their Sunbae-ness of it, right? That they're like, well, let's talk to all of our many people that we know because we've been in the industry for so long.
Yeah.
Rather than Stray, where it's like they really leaned in on like we have the backing.
Well, it's interesting because I think the show is really putting into a spotlight the idea of like it feels like the newer groups are the ones that are being pushed,
motivation, determination,
pushed and supported.
Okay, like
these are the shiny new toys of 4th gen.
Yes,
let's play with these, and like and it's almost like
it's almost like a legacy groups, like
are like, and now you can have
and show
your
off
moment.
Show off like what you've done, show off your accomplishments, pass the torch, yeah and
I think they're all doing really well,
genuinely,
and I think the performances are so good, and there is a performance I know I will watch
multiple times.
But I just think like I didn't realize going into the show that was kind of going to be the frame of the show was the the generational divide.
Yeah.
And especially like because K-pop generations are so short.
Right. They're not framing it in the show and in the writing. It's just
there.
It's just there. You just see the differences.
Yeah, and you can like feel it. Okay, so Stray Kids has this board meeting. They have lots of ladies on their team, which we love to see.
I really love to see that.
That was great.
Because there was a feeling of like, oh yes, they're like the main demographic that still buys K-pop is women. And so it's really interesting to see women represented in creating.
For sure.
Especially for boy groups. We are the outliers.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
We are the ones that when we go to the concert, I don't have a line in that bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
I walk right in. Usually there's no one in there.
Yeah. Every time I meet...
And it's in a sports facility. Yeah. So I have more bathrooms too.
Especially with like gay men. We've already talked about this, but like the more I meet like gay men here, they're like, yeah, I don't really listen to any boy groups. So I'm like, you just gotta find I'll tell you the gay ones. It's almost like,
Dorian,
I'll tell you the gay ones. It's okay.
But I also
it's more
think,
of those harder,
generally Western. I'm saying Western,
right.
American, like gay men do not listen to men.
To men in general,
regularly.
Yeah.
So they have the board meeting. In the board meeting, they go through some options of what they're gonna sing. They settle pretty early on God's Menu, although Lino is like, "Can we not do God's Menu?" Which I think is very funny because his point being,
speaking of the demographic.
We did God's Menu for like every year-end thing like 3 months ago even. Like
we've done every concept for God's Menu.
Right. We have no more concepts left. And
God's Menu is closed, honey.
The diner's closed. The diner is closed.
Out of food.
Girl. Yeah.
We're out of food.
So they settle on also mashing it up with side effects. Mm-hmm. Felix has a little moment where he's like, well, evil backwards is live. And he was so proud of himself. And I just want to say, Felix, I was proud of you too. I think you're doing great, sweetie.
You are doing great, sweetie.
So there is a moment in this board meeting where the one of the people on the call, first of all, there's a Zoom call, which is very 2021.
Yes.
I mean, it's still happening. I don't know what we're talking about. But one of the girls is like, I wasn't really surprised that you got first place in that like introductory ranking or whatever. And then they were like, but you just have to keep working to maintain that first place. There was like a bit of like pressure that's
what I'm saying. It feels very corporate. Like, well, the KPIs do show that you guys did have a good performance in the first quarter.
So Sungmin like has this like, he's like goofing around and then finally like gets into it and they're like, yeah. Like that's all great. Love watching that. I love watching them having to like not just like practice choreo, but like get into like
the acting
concept and the mood of the piece.
Especially with like Kingdom performances, because they're
always just heightened.
So dramatic. Yeah.
So then they have a visit from 2 p.m.'s Woo Young. So he comes by.
We know from Fantasy Boys.
Yes, the way we know him as Fantasy Boys. Isn't that sick?
Isn't that sad?
Isn't that horrible? So he comes by and he gives like pointers, I guess. Some of these do feel like it's just like, oh, don't forget JYP has 2 p.m. that you can go listen to as well. For you old biddies that are watching for SF9, don't forget about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he comes and gives advice. He says that just from the practice video that he saw, he was like, there's no way anybody's going to beat
There's no way anyone can beat this.
Great. So let's talk about the performance, okay?
It's like the side effects part is like you are being possessed by the demon or taken by the demon, and like Stray Kids with this like bell, they are like freeing you basically.
They've called God
so
and
that
his
you can
menu.
live.
Yeah.
Yes, they were like, we ordered the DoorDash is here.
This is the ding order up.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm. We've got the eggs sunny side up. Mm-hmm. Over easy.
It's the bit in It's the bit in Emperor's New Groove when he like says the order, like they order all this stuff and then he says it like in a whatever. It's very funny.
So funny.
So funny, guys. Honestly, you just gotta trust me on that one. It's hilarious. Okay, I really liked this performance. I thought this was really cool. I think I really thought the first part, which was like between the walls, that whole like in and out of like doors being pulled back. I loved all of that. I loved the puppets, the puppet energy thing. In the beginning when they were like, I think it was IN and Changbin were like being puppeteered by the like evil people or whatever. The demons from hell. And then I
mean the Bangchan like tethered performance where Bangchan is
the
up
guy's
and
like,
then the guy is hanging.
That's
and, like,
crazy.
Mirroring his dance moves.
But the coolest visual part of this whole thing is when they get up and start the Gods menu, and they have the dancers under
a giant white sheet,
huge white sheet.
Yes,
and that's the big bolt of fabric, honey. Sorry,
it is.
That's a lot of fabric.
That's a lot of fabric.
Thank you, Mood.
Thank you, Mood.
They were under, and they like. It almost
they're like dancing to like set them free. Almost
set them free, but also like there was a way too that it looked like when people do those like they do music on like sand and it like
it reverberates.
Waves. Yeah. It reminded me of that too. That I thought was really cool. It's just like so visually striking and like changes the tone of the performance, and like then they become powerful and like they do this moment where they switch and now they're the ones like puppeteering them and blah blah blah. And I thought all of it was like really clear. The concept was very crisp, like followed it from beginning to end. Everyone sounded great. Can we talk about though the audio? So in the episode,
sure.
In the actual produced episode, I felt like I heard the mix of the show, or like the pre-recorded mix, but then when because we rewatched
just the full version before we like just for like our rankings and stuff, that was when I felt like I heard them as well, because like you kind of hear both, but I don't think I heard them in the maybe I'd have to watch it again, but I just didn't feel like I heard it, which was weird to me, because they don't. It would be one thing if we watched it and I was like, oh, it's because like somebody was off key or whatever. But like that didn't happen. I think it's just the editing of the show.
It's so strange.
Yeah.
Because ATEEZ, it sounded the same in both the show and the like full version that's on YouTube.
Yeah. I think the walls in the beginning worked really well for me. I think out of all of the staging and camera work, combined with camera work, it was my favorite out of all of the 6, because having walls as big as those helped, I think, feel like you're not just in one big space.
It also like
it
was
dimension,
cleverly
choreographed.
In the way like
it's like going through.
It kept passing off to each member.
Totally. Like they're trying to save all of these people or whatever.
Yeah.
I loved
Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah, I love the giant bell. Actually, I really like that. Felix had like this specific character of like ringing the bell.
Yeah.
It felt very effective for me.
And I love that the crown is on it. Like I do think they're really good at using the imagery of kingdom to keep reinforcing that idea throughout their performance. I mean, we've only seen the two.
Yeah.
Like the introduction here, but I feel like they're thinking of that idea as we keep moving forward, which I
do think it took me from you describing the puppets and the white sheet for me to connect.
Well, first of all, it's Contact from Rent.
Oh yeah. Sure. It took me our conversation to connect the puppetry and the white sheet imagery for me to make sense the performance.
Oh, really?
The white sheet actually for me was like, oh, it's cool. It felt more like a cool dance technique
visual
than like how does it relate to the thing.
Do you know the worst? Do you know the absolute? We complained about the camera work last week.
Yes, still bad, by the way.
I think like the first half is so good. The worst camera shot in this entire challenge is in the Stray Kids performance. Han is like doing his like and whatever, and then the camera just goes up while he like kneels on the ground and then comes back down. And I think it's to time. The second time I watched it, I think it's a time
the video changes evil to life.
The like screen in the back, like it comes down, goes from evil to live.
But there wasn't enough movement to justify the camera.
No, and it doesn't read because it's so.
It
far
looks
back.
like the cameraman like tripped and fell on his back, and then it was like, oh, I have to keep it on Han. That's what it felt like.
So bizarre.
Yeah,
it's so strange. I do not like it.
I do think they have a really good grasp of telling a story, but making it very specific in the elements. And we've seen the comments. There is a little bit of like resource management, let's say. There's a little bit of maybe they had a bigger budget.
Apportionizing.
Yes. So at first I was like, I don't understand, like, because like you could be, it's like Drag Race. Like, yes, if someone spent a lot of money on a dress or whatever, blah blah blah, it's very obvious. But then like you can still pull off
sugarcane.
Yes, you can. Yes, the eggplant dress is that expensive. All of Plastic Tiara's outfits are expensive. But then you can see, like Raja O'Hara's. Like she'll make all of those and spent only like $1,500 on like an entire season, and it still looks really great. So I was like, I don't know if I really, whatever. I'm probably not going to see that. This was when I was like, oh, I see. They have like
more
resources.
65
like
dancers
85
with them.
dancers.
It's crazy.
These walls are textured. I mean, it's also dark, so that's probably helpful. But it's like textured brick wall.
Did they build this? Like, I was trying to figure out what the set was.
They like paid a show set studio to build them, but they're huge. Like, they were tall.
I know. What's the most fair thing is, right, for the show itself to allot a certain amount of money to each group and be like,
or they tell them you can only spend this much,
and just trust that they follow
but that's rules. The thing. You just trust a company to be like, oh yeah, no, everything fit in $50K or whatever.
Trust a company who then like,
and then they show up. But that's the thing, the money's already spent. They show up, they're already there, they're doing the dance, and it's fucking amazing. And if I was the producer I would be like, well, yeah, that's not my battle to do. That looks like a good show to me. I'm gonna put it in the reel. Like, would a producer be then like, hey, show us the books real quick, because that'll determine if we put this in the show or not.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. That's television. I don't know.
No, I know. It's so strange.
So I do wonder if like they had to kind of, because of that experience, then like figure out more what those rules are going into the next show,
Yeah. I just also have to say, God's Menu is just
great. I mean, they said it that like that song catapulted us to be a global group for some reason. And there's something just so there's a sinister vibe in the song, right? But like it's still
It's so dark.
Yeah, it's so dark.
Like, the tone of the song
yeah.
is so dark.
Yeah.
But it is that like rascally element.
Yes,
that,
they
like,
come through.
Yeah.
It's like the first music video that I noticed that like the song is like dark and epic, but their characters are still coming through in the video of like, yeah, like we're just joshing around.
Yeah, there's a
yeah.
I don't want to say it's not a goofy
No.
song, but there is like a
Rebel.
Isn't this all kind of like stupid?
Yeah,
like,
it's like
energy to it?
rebellious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like it.
which makes sense. Then, like after this, we go into Thunderous, where it's like they're taking it. They're going deep. They're like going all in on that idea.
Felix's like voice that they love to be like, let's
Feature
harness that
in like a
is like the same as like
point.
the Juyeon kind of like
the Juyeon beautiful
artistry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the Jongho vocal.
Yes.
You know, like there's a secret weapon.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started, bitch.
There's a secret weapon that they always use, and I think Felix is definitely one of their tools in their arsenal.
Oh god. Yeah. It was great. I liked it. Okay, so next up is ATEEZ, and they are going to be performing from the Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
ATEEZ is following this performance, so I immediately was like,
oh no,
God.
a boy.
Not that of course I know,
but it's big
they're
pressure.
Consummate performers,
but it's big pressure to
huge pressure.
We came in 5th in the introduction. We are the mnet.
We can't eat.
We can't eat first. We're starving.
Starving. These girls are.
These girls are starving.
Out here in the streets.
So yeah, I was like, it's gonna lead up that they're gonna have a hard time, even though I know the performance is gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Did not expect it to be.
No, because here's the thing. So when they were like, so we're gonna do From the Wonderland, and we're gonna do Pirates.
Yes.
And we're
Hongjung was like in the studio, just like, I need to rewatch the text.
Yeah.
I have to really get myself back into
that mindset.
Where are they?
I a little was like, I'm worried they're going to double down on Pirates and people are going to get tired of Pirates. That was my initial thought. Because I was like, you did Pirates last week. I think it's great for the introduction.
Because like all the other groups are like, what did they do last week? Oh, Pirates, right? I wonder if they're going to do that again.
Yeah.
I was like,
and I literally was like, oh, I don't know. I know.
I was like, what if I had a moment of like, what if there was a Michelle Visage that was like, okay, we've seen it again.
Else?
We've seen it already.
And they only have 3 challenges before the finale. So I just was like,
I got scared. Hongjung was like watching the movie, trying to figure out how to do it. He was trying to find the right like orchestration, like what classical piece
to like fit into it. Yeah.
And I think like from the package, I was like, oh, yep, that sounds really good. They kind of like kept bringing up, they were brainstorming different ideas.
Well,
but they never showed anything.
Well, and also like, I'm sorry, Pirates can get so chintzy so quickly. Like it can look so cheap.
So here's the thing. When they were talking about like, oh, let's talk about what the different pirates were going to be, and they made a joke that like, Ooyang can be the chef.
Yeah,
and,
I
like,
did want that to happen.
Me too.
I wanted him to have a frying pan. I was like, damn it.
I kind of wanted him to be like a chef, and then all of a sudden he has to fight with the pots and pans that he has, because that's in Pirates of the Caribbean. It's like goofy, like
Yeah.
Yo-ho, yo-ho.
But the problem is like,
I'm curious.
Kingdom, you can't do goofy on Kingdom.
But I'm curious if there is a stage that'll come in the show where they do utilize humor, because the performances are great, but I feel like if there's one group that will do it, I'm gonna eat it up, because I was like, it feels.
I don't think it might be like the 3rd challenge. Do you know what I mean? Like it might be like on build up when they started finally breaking out of ballads, because they were like, okay, we're watching dozens of ballads in a row. It's actually getting crazy at this point.
Yeah, and Sumin was like,
I was living.
Yeah, Sumin was like, I need a up down funk it up
thing in their package is that they had a comeback at the exact same time.
Yes,
so they were basically like going from like performing on Countdown to going to rehearsals, go to like back and forth.
Busy.
They're burning the candle at both ends. That idea will come back in the next package as well. So it's not the only group.
But it's interesting. This one is like, we as a group are promoting together.
Correct.
And then we as a group then go to rehearsal all night.
Yes, all together. They do these
All
things.
together.
All 7 of them.
Yes.
This is Pirates of the Cuntabean. This rocked my
ass shook. My ass shook.
They came in here. They did the damn thing.
And they left 0 to no crumbs. Here's the thing. I was scared about the pirates, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you fully commit and go all in, literally everything. I mean everything. Not just like a taste of pirate. Not just, oh, there's a treasure map. But then, we're dressed cool. No, everything was pirate.
Mm-hmm. This is the most musical theater fucking thing I'd ever seen in my life. This is actually no. This is not musical theater.
This is not musical theater.
This is, it is Pirate Queen. So let's give Stephanie J. Block her flowers, okay?
But
it's actually
giving. There was like setting. There was like they were like,
this is theme park.
Yes,
this is fully theme park.
It's immersive experience.
This is fully theme park
because it starts with this. We're following this guy that goes into captain, right? But then you're like walking through the galley, and everyone's clean. Like it's a full pirate crew.
Yeah,
just doing work, and then there's
fog. There's cinema.
You go through the doors, and the captain's right there waiting.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, we're about to swashbuckle, bitch.
Yeah. From the moment, I mean, I would say, like, I think the beginning is good, but once we get into, what is the moment where I was like, oh, I don't even know.
The Bone Breakers?
Yeah, that's probably when it, like, starts to
because
be
then
like,
it's like,
it's heightened.
they're heightened. They're doing something more.
Well, because
than just,
right after that is when he goes back.
He goes
and
through, and there's a
the
fucking Kraken.
Guys, I cannot. You have to put, this is the screen cap of my face when this happens. This is.
Yeah, it's literally the roaring, what is that? The roaring rapids in Shanghai?
Oh yeah, the river ride. It's
the pirates ride.
It's the Yeti
It's the Yeti.
It's just a big thing
that you don't expect
that
would be
you do
there.
Not expect. Nobody thought that they were gonna bring a fucking octopus leg.
Yeah.
Tentacle
onto they're called tentacles.
leg onto the stage, and they went for it, and I don't think it's perfect, right? I do.
No,
I have like I wish the death was like a little bit better.
I know my theme
but none of it is like the boys. Like
no.
It.
It was just like little technical things that I would
like
fix.
Hair splitting.
Like literally when Songhua shoots it, I wanted it to literally go up and then down.
Like basically what happens in like a Mario game when you have to like battle.
Bowser and his little thing all of a sudden
the X
flies
is over
around.
the eyes.
I needed a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Songhua.
Oh girl.
Songhua, when he first came out, corseted, right? Because the girls corset, okay?
The
girls are cinched. He looked like a fucking Final Fantasy villain. Like, he looked so out of this world. His hair was sculpted so beautifully. And that shot where all of a sudden the pirates, the crew, all have their rifles, and he is just standing in the middle.
Oh my god!
Like the true,
I can't.
Like he's like the admiral or whatever, and it's just, I gasped.
It's crazy. It's crazy
with the Kraken tentacle fully above him.
He is
enigma bitch, one of a kind.
Oh, just like the presence.
The presence took over.
The like, because he's not that. Normal,
no,
like he regular person.
Yes. He builds Legos in his little room.
It's so crazy. He just turns it on, and it's insane. Because like, I think for the most part, like Hongjung has that kind of energy.
Yes.
He like amps it up.
Yeah.
Wooyoung for sure has that energy.
For sure, totally.
San definitely has
on.
that energy.
Yeah.
So like all of them pretty much, but like Sung was the one who it's like I turn on,
and he doesn't like. It's not like he's doing more. It's just It's
Yeah.
just like, ooh, so
The
focused.
energy is like,
yeah, it's like
crackling.
right, and it's in
Oh,
his
God,
it's in his eyes.
it's
Like
so
it's
good.
so
Tyro's right. You gotta smile.
you gotta smice.
She was right.
Yeah.
And we can say it now in 2025.
I also loved, this is my favorite Hongjung ever. This
really?
he came through so confident, so cocky, and it's like it was truly like I really think that this performance showcased what makes ATEEZ, like, people will really fall in love with ATEEZ. And it's like they didn't do it for all of the members, but they highlighted the specific members that would do it. And I think like Hongjung, Songhwa, and Jungho, they really were like, we're making an effort that they are
The stars.
we're making them the stars of this number.
Yeah. I do think Hongjung, like, because Mingi's not there, it feels to me like he is like really making
Amping
a
it up.
super concerted effort to
Yes.
be like, I am representing both of us.
Yes,
and like
totally,
in a really
nice
really
way,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the bitch did.
No, let me talk about him. No, let me speak on this. Okay. Jungho, baby.
Remember when
You rocked my shit with this. This is fucking insane. I cannot. Oh my God.
Yeah.
When we did Beloved of the Month a few months ago, and we brought ATEEZ into the field, I remember at the time being like, I was unaware that this person existed.
Yeah.
Because I didn't follow ATEEZ.
Yeah.
And like, because of algorithms,
Yes.
if you don't follow a thing, you will never
You'll
be fed
never
a thing.
hear it. You'll never know.
And now I frequently get upset
That you didn't know
that
any
there
of
was
these.
a period of my life
You didn't know
that Jungho was out here screaming, skrelting, belting, putting his whole Jungho-si into every performance, and I was not there to receive that intention.
You were
to hold space with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I was too busy
Putting people in Space Mountain.
telling people 3 in row 1, 3 in row 2 at Test Track at Epcot in Florida.
Telling people to
And
fill
that
in.
that was my fault, Jungho.
Yeah.
You were right. I was wrong, okay? I want to say, if you're an 18 watching this, and you think to yourself, everybody knows Jungho has one of the greatest vocals in 4th gen. They don't.
They don't.
They don't.
really
There's
don't.
more to evangelize to.
Yes.
There's more you can do.
Please don't rest
give
on
up.
your laurels.
Don't give up.
Yeah.
We must shift mission work from Christian nonsense to
Jungho.
proclaiming Jungho's good works on this earth. And by that I mean these high notes.
Yeah.
Because he's insane. He is people aren't supposed to be able to do this.
And yet there is one.
This actually put me in an early grave. I started crying. I think this whole performance, the whole thing, is just like builds on itself, but in a way where it's like the momentum keeps going. Da, 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 da.
That's why I'm like, it's paced really well
It's paced
because
so
they know that the next thing that they're gonna show is bigger.
Their choreo is completely in sync.
And then the final button is just them in formation, Songhwa in the middle.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
I will be watching this on repeat. I couldn't believe this was happening in front of my eyes. I'm still angry that there weren't human beings who were fans that could have watched this, because like this was just produced with just staff in the room, and
it's the same feeling we had of like the first half of build.
Like, imagine if Beyonce had done Beachella, but like to no one,
but
just
it was
for
COVID,
the movie,
so
just
it was
for
just-
Netflix.
yeah.
Like
in a studio.
I need.
See, now the girlies are gonna be like, well, now you have to watch ATEEZ Coachella.
So anyway, I thought this was very good.
So I thought it was pretty good.
Let's talk about our final group, SF9. SF9 does Jealous. Not Beyonce's Jealous.
Not Beyonce's Jealous, because Kevin's face did light up in the back. So we were like, Kevin, it's not that. Could you imagine? I mean,
could I imagine if SF9 did Beyonce's Jealous?
Yeah, I do every day.
I mean, Island 2 did Beyonce.
If I were a boy, so you never know. They might surprise us.
Everybody else had to do their own number, except for SF9. You have to do a Beyonce.
Round two is Reborn, so they sing each other's songs. Round 3 is Beyonce. She comes in and be like, "안녕하세요." 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요.
You're so stupid. Okay.
Kingdom.
Let's talk about SF9's troubles. SF9
is booked and blessed.
Because they are booked and blessed, they have no time to rehearse the doll. And this poses a problem.
Yeah. One of their packages that they show is like the long day of practicing, and just like 2 members are there, and it's literally a revolving door. Like In-sung can only come in the morning before he has to go do a musical.
Yeah.
And then after like everyone else is done with filming and shooting, they come in and rehearse at night.
Yeah.
Like it's just
they're basically not rehearsing altogether.
Yeah.
Which is
until like the last 2-3 days.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. So that's not ideal. And then there's like this long package with Jaeyoon, who is, first of all,
fine as hell.
Hot. And second of all, because they are, I do want to be clear when we talk about,
how hot these men are.
I think the boys, and I think the boys in SF9 have a similar thing where I think the members are so attractive.
Yes.
That sometimes I'm sure the fandom can be like, yes,
oh my God,
we
yes,
know,
we
but
know,
they're
but look
so
at
much
how
more than that. And
talented they are. And I promise you, as lovers of men, we know.
We know both.
We know both. We know as men who love men. We know the extent of what men can do. Okay?
You know.
So we know all of it.
It's all of it.
It's all of it. It's all of it.
So he is struggling with this rehearsal. So he was like one of the only ones who like didn't have anything else going on. So he was like at every rehearsal.
Yes, he was at every rehearsal, which in turn made him pick up a lot of these bigger stunts because he was the only one that can do all of it.
Stunt queen.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be able to practice.
Death drops. We're talking, reveals. We're talking, all of it. So one of the things that he has to do is he has to like, toward the end of the song, he has to like run up all the dancers,
all these dancers, yeah,
and then leap over,
land on his feet,
and then
like Julian's leap too,
similar to Julian's leap in the
and then join into the dance formation. But it's so high for him.
It's so high,
and there were moments where they're like, Youngbin, the leader, is like asking the choreographer, hey, is there any way we can change this? Can the dancers help run up? Because there's something that we can change. And like, I couldn't tell if everyone, because there was a little bit of like the choreographer saying like, well, we've already changed so much in everything else. And then Jaeyoon in Talking Heads was like, I know there were probably modifications that we could do, but I really wanted to show that I could do it and people could rely on me. That I was like, this is all a lot. You are limping.
It's not great.
It's a scary.
I don't love it. So let's talk about the performance.
Okay. So the whole gig is Homme Fatale. But then they do this like, it's almost like a court of vampires, but they're not vampires. It just feels very like it's Homme Fatale. Like it's the male version of like.
Well, it's weird because Femme Fatale is usually like little black dress and like carries
Nikita.
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie.
So Salt.
Yeah, Salt. But
Talk about Salt
they're
again.
doing more of like a romance novel
cover for
cover,
sure.
you know,
Yeah.
high fantasy romance.
This is the Volturi.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
The Twilight girlies are screaming. They're screaming. You're welcome.
Yes, man.
That's what it's giving.
Yes.
A high court of vampires.
High court of yes.
It's not vampires, but it might as well be.
Yes, yeah. But I think what they're doing is it's scent. Because they keep, they're
There's a
you're
lot of
so,
sniffing.
you are so entranced by the manly smell of us.
Musk.
That you are willing to give yourself to us, basically.
There is a part where, who's the one with the face?
Everyone. Taeyang. Yeah. They all got face.
It's it's at the mirror part, which
yes.
I think is really cool. It's
yeah,
so
mirror,
cool.
mirror on the wall, honey.
He sniffs this girl and she promptly.
Oh, that one. The dance.
Yes.
That's Chani. That's Chani.
Oh, that was Chani?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, she promptly passes away.
I know.
And I was like,
Girl,
and you were right to do so, darling.
Yeah. No one is strong enough, honey. And then there's they're all jealous of each other. They're also competing with one another.
It's competition. It's all.
Which is very
It's dominant.
yes,
there's.
because Taeyang literally slaps him in the first song and just
with
says
his little
claw.
little
Yes, with
claw.
with his nails. It's jealous.
Ooh. Something about it.
It's purring.
Ooh.
It's purring.
See, I just feel like you just okay.
I loved the long runway into the throne. Loved it.
In the final shot.
Yes, the final shot.
It's
gorgeous.
a mile long.
It's gorgeous.
It looks insane, yeah.
I love the mirror dance with Chani where it's the reveal. Because when they were talking about it at first, it's a mirror and then you go through and you realize that it's a new world or whatever. Or something else is happening behind the mirror. And I was I don't know how that's going to work. I just couldn't imagine it. And so when they did it, I was like,
I couldn't imagine it for the stage.
Yes.
Because I was like, you could do this in a
Film,
music video
yeah.
so easily, but yeah.
And then when they did it, it was a take my breath away moment because it's just seeing the hunt happen. I was like, oh God.
Well, and it's so old school theater trick. But it is so it's so cool.
My biggest note is that I don't think the big stunts that they did really paid off. I think
This is my question, was the jump worth it?
The jump I don't think was worth it. I think
what does this camera work?
Oh yeah.
We're gonna have a jump.
We're gonna show him jump, but then show from all the way back here. Hello?
But I also think the choreo doesn't.
It doesn't showcase the jump.
I don't know what.
I wish the jump was different. I wish they rethought it to be if the song
I wish
was
it was more featured. If it was the jump on a beat and then there was a pause, he got up and then they started going that would be really cool.
A lot of their big dance moves and stunts were less effective to me than when they have these really focused moments instead, the slap. Or the dancing, the pas de deux or whatever, the tango, the mirror tango, or or even the moments when they're just looking at the camera while everyone is dancing around them, just these moments where, Hui Young literally, I feel his whole thing was just walk down a runway, and then at the end had the cologne and then walked back, all of these moments.
Chanel number jealous.
Yes.
Yeah.
I felt those moments were more effective than the big stunts that they were pulling because I just feel I would just lean in more. But I think that's the pressure of the show of we got to do the big stuff because that's what everyone was doing in the introduction.
I felt my issues with this one were I felt it was so individual and it's probably born out of because everyone had different schedules.
Yeah.
But there was just a lot of we're transitioning from one member to another member.
Yeah.
And the transitions were always long. It wasn't what I think is so clean about Stray Kids is you would go, it would be immediately you're at the next person. Whereas this, it would be and now there's a camera and we're always doing this, which I think is just
I wish there was more.
I don't know. It's fine for a TikTok, but like for this, I was like, I don't know. Yeah. I think it was like good overall, and I think they look great, obviously, but I just wanted it to like be amped up by like 10 to 15% more. So the rankings that are officially revealed are the professional rankings and the self-assessed rankings. So in the professional rankings, 6th is btob, 5 is ikon, 4 is SF9, 3 is the boyz, 2 is Stray Kids, 1 is ATEEZ. And then when they redo the numbers with the self-assessments, btob and SF9 have swapped places. So then SF9 is in 6th place and btob has moved up to 4th. I think it's going to be very interesting the more I think about these percentages and where the votes are coming from and where the points are coming from.
Yeah, the global votes I think are going to be very telling. It does feel like Stray, boyz, ATEEZ are competing in a show, and the 3 other groups are competing with with each other themselves. They're like
with our legacy.
Yeah.
The three Gen 4 groups
are competing
to be the kings of Gen 4.
Yes.
And the other 3 groups are just there to...
It's just like it's like a journey. It's like them, like, we still have this, or like, we are still able to do this.
What is your ranking? What was your ranking of the 6 performances?
I picked 6th as ikon.
I did too.
Just because I think now seeing all of it, theirs was the most simple compared to everyone else. I think it was really good. I think all of the performances are good.
There's not a bad
performance. I think theirs is probably...
This is all splitting hairs, basically.
Yes, yeah. I think theirs is just the most simple that probably could have been elevated more.
Yep. 100%.
And then I'm gonna pick btob. Just because I think they are so segmented with each of members. Like, Penyel can only do this much. Minhyuk has to do the big stunts, and then Jungsuh and Eunkwang does vocals. It just feels so segmented in that way that I wonder if they, in the future performances, can find songs where it's a little bit more even.
Yeah, they probably shouldn't have picked a ballad again.
Yeah. But I fucking love that performance. The boyz is my 4th. Out of the rest of the 4 that's remaining, they do a really good job of elevating themselves from the introduction. But I think too many ideas.
So many ideas.
I think it needed
to be... So many set pieces.
And I don't think the ideas are the problem.
Well, that's the thing is, ATEEZ and Stray Kids are in competition with each other. And like the show, obviously.
Yeah. The boyz is in competition with themselves. Because it's like, how do we keep topping ourselves after doing 8 episodes already of this?
Yeah, it's such a bummer.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
You know they didn't... I don't even think... Because I think I went back and I looked, and when they said Road to Kingdom Ace of Ace, they basically were like, it's not a thing where it's like leading to
a kingdom.
So like whoever wins, it doesn't mean you're going to kingdom.
Yeah.
And I think... While I understand the intention of Road to Kingdom and this idea, and I think it's like a cool idea and concept, I just don't think anyone realized but I also don't think, because the boyz were the ones who came up with this like crazy concept, like throw artistry at the wall. I think like no one realized that was going to happen. So like then it's hard to compete with yourself and keep topping yourself every time.
Yes, totally. I agree.
It's like it's a Sisyphean task.
Yes.
It's just like you're never going to...
They just keep... The next performance is just trying to get a little bit higher up.
Yeah.
A little bit better.
And there's no...
Or a little... They can top themselves a little bit.
It's very hard. It's very hard to constantly...
I need them to give up the Game of Thrones. I think they've used it enough.
I think like retroactively to like look back, like... or retrospectively, I should say, to look back, like not even having watched Road to Kingdom, but like knowing that was like their thing was they just like kept doing like more and more and bigger, it almost probably would have been smart for them to do the first thing in a fully stripped back, completely minimal.
I know,
nothing, so then they can rebuild
reset,
again.
basically resets.
Yeah, but I think,
but that's the pressure of the
now.
Yes, but the pressure of the show, you're like, no, we can't. Our baseline is already having won.
Well, and also you don't want to let down your fans too.
Yeah,
like you don't want to. You have your fandom like supporting you through this, and they're expecting more of what you have given them through Road to Kingdom. It's like it's a full. They have the hardest.
They have
battle
the hardest
here.
battle in this
and
whole show.
I feel complete sympathy for how they. I'm sure are like that was not great.
That was not great, but that's what else can we do? You know?
I mean you're locked in.
Okay. My number 3 is Stray Kids.
This is crazy.
I think because my number 3 is Stray Kids and my number 2 is SF9.
Yeah. Okay, if you had made SF9, okay, I would have. And
then ATEEZ is the best. Like, it's one of the best survival show performances I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
But ATEEZ was the best because they were so good about their own point of view, their own story, their own concept, but doing it so specific and going all in on it. Mm-hmm. I think, though not as clean and polished, I think SF9 also did that. That same, like, let's lean in on what people know and love about us, which is Homme Fatale, which is like very like deadly sexy men.
Yeah.
And I think this concept worked for them.
Yeah.
I just think they needed more time to realize, oh, the stuff that we were gonna do doesn't work.
Yeah.
I think Stray does a really good job of telling a complete story, but there were moments in SF and ATEEZ's performance that highlighted members and why and like just secret weapons of those as the members that I would have loved to see more in Strays, but I felt like Strays did more of like, this is one holistic group, one holistic performance, which is great, but because ATEEZ was able to do more of like there's a point of view in the performance. And SF9 also did that I was like, oh, I think I like more of this. There's a point of view from like specific members that I think made them just stand out a little bit more.
So I also had Icon in 6th. I thought it was good, but I need them to do more.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, I feel like they already were like, oh my God, we're doing this crazy thing. It's musical theater.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, that's not, it's got to be so much.
Be more. I mean, they're warding off devils.
Yeah, they're doing, it's crazy what's going on stage.
Yeah.
So I would say that's Icon. Then I would say 5 is, I had 5 as SF9. Because I just thought it wasn't, it was polished, but it wasn't, I don't know. It lacked, I don't know what
you just
it lacked.
Needed more.
I just
needed
more.
Not energy, but just like a more, like.
You need more.
Yeah. Need more like laser focus, like,
Yeah. I had 4 as btob.
Yeah.
Because I really liked that performance. Yeah. Even with it like being another ballad, I just like
it just feels like they're on a lane of their own. So it's not like it doesn't feel like they're trying to compete.
No, it doesn't feel like they're trying to. They're just there to have a good time.
Yeah,
that's genuinely what it feels like. And I think because of that, it like helps their performance. Like
totally, yeah.
I think the like Minhyuk sword fight thing, even though it makes basically no sense in the middle of that song, it was so great and well executed that I was like, all right, great.
Yeah.
3, I basically have 3, 2, 1 is the exact same as the scores. I think the boys, I like, and if I was giving like numbers, the boys and Stray, I would put like
really close,
almost like the same score. Because like I think the same, I think I have the same number of like critiques of both of them. So like the boys, I think like I really did enjoy it for the most part, but I just think they needed to like do two or three things less.
Yeah.
And then it would have been like more focused. It felt like a little too outside of their boundaries that they couldn't like rein it in. But then with Stray, I felt like it was like really good. And while I was watching it, I was like super impressed. But then as I was like thinking about it later, I was like, but I don't know if there was enough for me. I just felt like I don't know what I wanted from them either. I have the same problem with like them as SF9, where I thought it was like, I think theirs was like fully conceptually there, really executed well. I think like visually stunning, like it had like levels, it had like all of it. The narrative was there. Yeah. And I think that's probably why I put it ahead of the boys.
I think it just needed those moments, like the Songhwa staring at you, like the Jungho killing part. Like they needed like more of a striking thing.
Yeah.
That I think for them was a little too much like we're telling the story.
Yeah.
It needed just a little bit more of like but you're in a concert, you know?
Yeah. It felt a little like when people get into the arguments about like how many lines people have in a song.
Yeah.
And like the argument is always like, well, this person should have more, blah, blah, blah. But then when you get into like if everyone has the exact same number of lines in a song, then there's no...
how can you feature?
There's no way to feature someone specifically. And like, obviously everyone's equal because they're all in the group, but like, that's not how any of this works really. Yeah. So I wish there had been like a main character for me to like focus in on.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because even though Felix had the bell, it's not like
he wasn't the main character though. And it wasn't
clear. It wasn't like we're supposed to focus on one thing.
Bangchan either.
Yeah.
So I don't know who. They were all supposed to be it because that was the point of like the opening and like the coming in and out.
Yes,
each of them. Like,
but that's the thing with ATEEZ, like because they were specific characters, it just like felt like as an audience, I'm watching it unfold from like member to member.
Yeah. Definitely ATEEZ, it was like a full story. It was like a full realized story. Narrative, blah, 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 blah.
And like, you know, the costumes too. The fact that their costumes did set them apart from one another. I love that Hongjung was wearing like more of a lavish outfit than everyone else. I like Songhwa is like so like because he's gonna kill the crack and he looks like the most like militaristic, like scared, you know, like the most like
corseted.
Yes, corseted, honey. And like Stray just looks like all of them were wearing like white post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, I mean they're playing with like good and evil, light and dark. Like, I think all that's really cool and interesting. I did like Stray's performance.
Yes, I know. It's literally literally splitting
the tiniest hair splitting. Yeah.
But I think ATEEZ won hands down this round.
Yeah.
Like, even if the Kraken didn't do this, I would have. Just the fact that he even brought a Kraken in, I think, was like, well.
Yeah, that was so crazy. That's so crazy.
All right. Well, join us on patreon.com/boystuff. We are watching these with the bows and the bobs. You get the reactions. So you saw Adam watch the Wonderland performance. And lost absolute shit.
I was like, I was catatonic for like 10 minutes.
Absolute shit.
We were still in the package of the SF9.
We were watching SF9 and we're like, I need to shake that off. I'm still thinking about ATEEZ.
Fully losing. Yeah. I also don't think that helped them.
No.
Coming after that.
Right, yeah.
No, and even if you were like, I bet they're gonna do a pirate thing.
Yes,
there's
exactly,
no
like
way you thought they were gonna do that.
I know.
The crack, that is so crazy.
Bitch the Kraken.
Bitch the Kraken.
Bitch the Kraken.